The moment the Navy Admiral's eyes landed on the faded tattoo on the janitor's wrist, her breath caught, because she had seen that mark only once before, on the man who saved her life. Thomas Reed sat at the very back row of Ridgeway High's auditorium, gripping the edge of his seat so tightly his knuckles whitened. His old janitor uniform, clean, but worn, felt tighter than usual around his chest. Today was special. Today, despite all the jobs he worked and all the nights he barely slept, he was here to watch the person he loved most in the world walk across that stage. His son, Ethan Reed, was graduating. Thomas had promised himself he wouldn't cry. But promises were fragile things. Ethan stood backstage, straightening his navy blue gown. He was tall now, almost taller than his father, his sandy brown hair brushed back, his eyes bright with pride. But only he knew how much his father had sacrificed. No mother, no siblings, just the two of them and survival. Thomas had once been strong, military strong. But a roadside explosion during a mission years ago shattered his leg and ended his Navy career. Left alone with a newborn and medical bills, he traded uniforms, one Navy, one janitor, but never abandoned his duty. Ethan knew. He always knew. And today, he would make his father proud. The auditorium buzzed as parents packed the rows. Teachers whispered anxiously. The chief guest had arrived. Admiral Olivia Hart, one of the highest-ranking officers in the Navy, walked in wearing her immaculate white uniform. Strong posture, silver hair braided neatly, a presence that silenced entire rooms. She was here for a speech, not to remember the past. Not to remember him. But fate had other plans. Thomas stood in the shadows near the exit, unwilling to push forward. He didn't belong in the front rows with polished families. He belonged in corners. But as he reached for his phone, his sleeve slipped back, and Admiral Hart, stepping down from the stage to greet a veteran, caught a glimpse of something on his wrist. A mark, a symbol shaped like a broken wing and anchor. Her world stopped. Only one Navy unit had that symbol. Bravo-12. A team that no longer existed. A team of heroes. A team that saved her life in a desert ambush 12 years ago. And that exact tattoo. That exact man. But he was declared dead. Sir, she called, stepping quickly toward him. Thomas froze mid-step, a lifetime of instinct kicking in. He looked up, and their eyes met. Admiral Hart's breath trembled. Reed, she whispered. Thomas swallowed hard. He hadn't heard that name spoken with respect in years. Ma'am, he said quietly, lowering his gaze. Didn't expect anyone to remember. Remember. Her voice cracked. You saved my entire convoy. You carried me out when I was bleeding out. And they told me you died. He smiled faintly. Guess I didn't. A small pause. Why? Why are you a janitor? She asked softly. Because my son needed a father more than the Navy needed a broken man. A son's truth. Ethan, confused by the small commotion, rushed over. Dad, everything okay? Admiral Hart turned, studying the young man, his posture, his confidence. This is your son. Thomas nodded. Ethan frowned. Do you two know each other? Olivia placed a hand on the young man's shoulder. Ethan, your father is a hero. One of the greatest I ever served with. Ethan blinked quickly, trying to process the words he had longed to hear his whole life. My dad, a Navy hero, Thomas murmured. That was a lifetime ago. No, Admiral Hart insisted. You're a hero today, right now. The challenge. But the celebration didn't stop life's problems. Thomas still struggled every month to pay bills. Ethan had been accepted into a top engineering university, but tuition was more than Thomas made in 2 years. Ethan planned to decline after graduation. He hadn't told his father yet. And Admiral Hart, seeing the fear buried behind the boy's smile, asked gently, What's wrong, Ethan? He hesitated, but told the truth. I can't afford college. We barely make rent. I was going to skip it so Dad wouldn't blame himself. Thomas went still. His heart cracked open. Son, no, you don't throw away your dreams because of me. Ethan shook his head. Dad, you've given up enough. That night, Thomas couldn't sleep. He sat alone in his tiny kitchen, staring at overdue bills. He had fought battles with bullets, but this was a war he kept losing. Until a knock sounded at the door. It was Admiral Hart. She stepped inside, removing her cap. I've been thinking about your son, she said. Ma'am, I can't accept. You're not accepting charity, she interrupted firmly. You're claiming what you earned. From her bag, she pulled out an envelope. A full Navy scholarship, 4 years, engineering program, everything covered. Thomas stared in disbelief. Why? Why would you do this for us? Because heroes deserve to see their children fly, she whispered. The next morning, when Ethan walked across the graduation stage, he saw his father standing front row, shoulders straight, chin up, and next to him, Admiral Hart smiling proudly. When Ethan received his diploma, the entire auditorium erupted in applause. But he looked only at one person. His father. Thomas, eyes full of tears he no longer hid, mouthed. Go change the world, son. After the ceremony, Admiral Hart addressed the students, but her speech wasn't about medals or rank. It was about resilience. Heroes, she said, glancing at Thomas, don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they clean hallways at night so their children can walk into the future with light. A hush fell over the room. Ethan wrapped an arm around his father. Dad, he whispered, I'm going to make you proud. You already have, Thomas replied. Life's battles come in many forms. Some wounds are visible, some are carried in silence. But love, pure, selfless love, can turn even the quietest fighter into a legend. Thomas Reed didn't come to be celebrated. He came just to watch his son graduate. But that day, the world finally saw the hero he always was.